So we're going to talk about Stacy and Wendy, Stacy and Wood, Farrah and 50 Shades of What the Fuck, Noli and the Professor, and of course, Wendy and Julian. So let's talk about it. Noli goes to her professor's comedy show. He's doing stand-up. He invited her out to the venue to see him do stand-up. And so after the event was over, so she says, you know, well, would you like to go and get something to eat? And he's like, and before he could answer, a lady walks up with a British accent, and she's like, oh, you did such a good job. And he introduces his wife to Noli. And so, but this woman is eerily similar to Brandon's ex-fiance. I mean, from look to even down to the British accent. That she imagines herself, you know, hitting this lady. In reality, she actually just walked away. When she walks away, the professor seems dumbfounded. I was dumbfounded that he was dumbfounded. Noli is she's just over it. She walks away. And that's all we see of Noli in this episode. Farrah's out on a double date with Clover. She's with Clover. Justin is there with Gina. Clearly, Farrah is uncomfortable. Justin also appears a little bit uncomfortable when Clover is touching Farrah's leg. Gina starts talking about how she and Justin met, and this is really by the egging on of Clover, who said they all wanted to know how they met. And clearly by Farrah's face, Farrah's like, I don't want to hear that shit. Gina goes on and she talks about how she met Justin at a wedding reception, and within 5 minutes of them talking, he just started kissing her. Farrah has a flashback because when she met Justin, they were talking and he kissed her. So, you know, that's his move. And Clover, she starts flirting very strongly with Justin, and he flirts back. Farrah's like, I'm out, I can't take this. She goes to the restroom to try to pull herself together. Justin follows behind her. And, you know, and with Farrah, you never know which Farrah you're going to get. Are you going to get the Dora Explorer Farrah, or are you going to get the just kind of quirky Farrah, but still an adult, kind of cool personality? Out of those two, you just never know which one you're going to get. Okay, so luckily for this episode, we got the adult Farrah. So Farrah basically went off on him, told him she did not feel comfortable with what was happening. She wasn't comfortable with an open relationship. She also told him that he was jealous. He denied being jealous. She initially denied she was jealous, but then she went off and she told him, yes, I am jealous. I'm jealous of Clover. I'm jealous of Gina. I'm jealous of whomever else you might be seeing, and you're jealous too. And she also said that she didn't like this whole open relationship vibe. She said it didn't feel normal to her. It felt like nobody knew what the fuck they were doing. And, you know, and he was like, well, I don't want to be normal. As Farrah's telling Justin, you don't know what you want, you're confused, and I'm over it. And he's just looking, again, just kind of clueless, looking like he doesn't really know what to say or what to do. And then when he started talking about his view on her and baby Judah, you know, it was just like, he had all these rules. Justin, for a person who wants to live by no rules, at this point now, he has a lot of rules to give to her. She wasn't accepting any of that, and she left. This Farrah is the Farrah that I like, and I hope I see more of next season. So hopefully this whole experience is now bringing her more into the Farrah we saw this episode. Stacy goes to visit Wendy to apologize. She apologizes to Wendy over and over again. Wendy tells her she really hurt her, that she really needed her friend in that time and she wasn't there for her. And you know, and Stacy just repeated that how sorry she was. She went about things the wrong way, and she was really projecting her views, because she obviously has very strong views about abortion, on Wendy, and that was wrong. But everything she was doing out of love. And Wendy was like, really? You were doing that out of love by sending me a pro-life link and telling me not to do that to my baby? And Stacy was like, yes, I was. I believe Stacy was doing it out of love. She approached it all wrong. Hands down, she approached it all wrong. but her intentions were good. I don't believe it was her intent to be judgmental, although she was judgmental. I do believe she felt that if Wendy did this, outside of her just believing it was wrong, she felt that she would regret it later, and this, you can't get a do-over with that. And we cannot forget either that Stacey is that ride or die friend, because you remember when she bust out Julian's window. I think it might have been season 1 or season 2. And I can't remember if it was on Chef Julian or on Sexless where she actually did it. But anyway, she did that on Wendy's behalf because she did not like how Julian was treating Wendy. So, she cares passionately about her friends. Wendy broke down, accepted her apology. So after that, they kind of just started catching up on what's happening in their life right now. And Stacey shared with Wendy that, she'd been out on a few dates, including a date with an African American. And Wendy was like, what? And, Stacey gave us that story again about she liked black guys, they just don't like her. Stacey was like, well, what are you doing tonight? You want to hang out? And she was like, well, I have plans. And Stacey was like, oh, Julian, because, they all saw the text. And she was like, yeah. And so, Stacey said, well, can I say? And Wendy was like, okay, look, we just got good because I know you're getting ready to go there. So basically all she said to Wendy was, just be careful. You guys have history. Just be careful. And that was great advice. Wendy needed it. And she, she didn't respond negatively towards it. So that went well. Stacey finally loses her virginity. And it was bad, y'all. She was disappointed as hell. But weren't most of us disappointed the first time? But this was really bad, y'all. This was just, oh my God, it was bad. First of all, why was Wood continuously saying, this is it? This is it. This is it. And I'm sure Stacey was thinking, this is it? Oh my God. I was just like, oh my God, if you don't stop talking, just shut up already. Stop talking. It was over after a few thrusts. And Stacey was like, was that it? And Wood said, it's so pretty outside. I'm thinking, what the hell? She was just so underwhelmed by the whole experience. It was just bad, y'all. It was just bad. And in my prior reviews, I talked very highly of Wood. I was coming from the perspective of, come on, give the good dude a chance. But nah, y'all, I'm sorry. I don't recommend that Stacey subject herself to this again. But that talking, this is it, doing that was like, and then not to mention he didn't even really last that long. And then when he said the thing about it's so pretty outside, I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Just sounded weird, felt weird, and I'm just like, oh man, Stacey waited all this time for this? For this? So after they were done, he gets up and he's like, oh my God, Stacey. And she's like, what? And he's like, the condom broke. And she just lies back and she's like, and I know she must be thinking, this cannot be happening. So after all this time, she waited all this time to lose her virginity, only to have a horrible experience. Not only was the sex not good, but then with the condom breaking, this now puts her at a greater risk of becoming pregnant or being exposed to disease. While Wood is, I guess, feeling satisfied and complete with the "it's so pretty outside" statement, I felt like a Game of Thrones statement, the night is long and full of terror. Girl, get the hell out. I feel so bad for Stacey, y'all. I feel so bad for Stacey. Wendy and Julian go out on another date. And the chemistry between these two is just amazing. You can't deny the chemistry between the two of them. And it's this chemistry that we see and that we feel that makes those of us who are not even on Team Wendy hopeful that this is just not going to turn into a shitstorm again. So they go bowling and they have a good time at the bowling alley. Once Julian has taken Wendy back home, they sit in the car for a while, and this is where the real conversation about what's going on between them takes place. Julian tells Wendy that he is ready to move on. He's ready to move past them just being friends. Wendy, in response, tells Julian that she doesn't even know how that will work considering everything. Julian then says, I love you. For the very first time, he says, I love you. You know, she looks at him like, whoa, because she just didn't think he would ever say it, and he said it. He tells her that he's loved her for a long time, and he wants to step up to the plate, you know, in order to be with her. She keeps reiterating that she just doesn't know how they move forward in this because, you know, they messed up everything so badly. And he commented that, you know, you're lost, I'm lost, so I think it's best for us to be lost together so that we can move ahead in this together. Oh, Julian. But Wendy is still feeling like, how do we do this considering everything and considering Daryl, because he's your friend. Daryl is not a deal breaker for Julian in order for him to get into a relationship with Wendy. Julian was with Wendy first. That Daryl was the one who stepped in someplace where he really should not have gone. That's one of your really, really good friends, and you just should not have went there. You went there, you got your feelings hurt, okay, whatever. But so that has never been my beef with Julian at all. My beef with Julian has always been about Julian's behavior, lack of commitment, him just being a straight up hoe. The whole Daryl thing is not a deal breaker for Julian, and I get that. So Wendy asked Julian to just give her a little time to let her think about it, and he's like, okay, because, you know, I don't want to put any pressure on you after he's applied the pressure. So then he asked for a hug. One hug turns into another hug. That hug turns into kisses. That's then when we got the Team Wendian flash on the episode, you know, for the win. But when I first saw that, the for the win was in parentheses, but I just read it as fuck the world, because they might need to have some of that to make this relationship work, because it's going to be an uphill battle. So let me tell you what's on this hill that has got to be overcome. Daryl is on the hill. Mo, who he is still casually having sex with, is on the hill. Milan, who he's almost had a threesome with her and Mo, she's on the hill. A lack of transparency between both Wendy and Julian, with just being forthright, honest, communicating well, that's on the hill. And probably at the peak of this hill is trust and commitment. There's trust that's going to have to be built all around. And guess what? I'm not just talking about Julian. I'm talking about Wendy as well, because if something should not go right with you and Julian this time around, Daryl doesn't need to be your default plan, nor any other friend of Julian's should be your default plan. You got trust all around, and we all know the trust factors with Julian, because most of the things on the hill are his things, okay? So we all know the trust factor with him. And then with that trust, commitment, that if this is going to be a real deal relationship, are you really committed to hanging in there every day and face every challenge together? They're a long way from that commitment level, so we'll see what happens. Yeah, in all of my reviews, I have been high-key hating on Julian. Y'all know this. But I have also been low-key rooting for Team Wendy. So saying all of that to say, before we give Wendy and Julian the Beyonce and Jay-Z 444 relationship survival certificate, let's see how they can navigate all of these things that's on this hill that they're going to have to overcome. Then we could give them the 444 certificate. This is the end of season 3 of Sexless. This was a great, great, great season. I enjoyed it a lot. And until the next time, thank you always for allowing me to have my 2 cents.